And welcome to round 4 of a GT4 championship hosted by Apex Online in Assetto Corsa Competizione. This next round will be taking place at the Hungaroring, and there will be a night race, so it's going to be quite a challenging event for our drivers, because not only is the track going to be dark, but going to be cold as well. But before we move on to that, let's have a brief recap on the previous round at Brands Hatch. Daniel Fernandez qualified in pole to repeat his feat of the previous round, where he also qualified on pole, and from a drop of the flag, Danny led from the front and slowly moved away from the chasing pack. Jean-Paul Ribeiro, who qualified in third, quickly moved up into second place. Jean-Paul now second in the championship, but very quickly on the first lap, Jean-Paul slipped a long way back, 4 cars overtaking him there, and I think Zapata there in the green and white Mercedes just behind him, I think he may have got through as well, and possibly Eden Majerski in the lack of a team name McLaren, switching to McLaren for this event, as they were no longer able to use the Chevy having a bit of a bug within ACC and not able to swap drivers. However, following his early mishap on the opening lap, Jean-Paul Ribeiro slowly climbed his way forward. First of all, taking out the Ginetta of Sims and O'Connell, which went off track, looked to have a little bit of a glitch there as well. But Ribeiro moved through. And then a few laps later, coming up on the McLaren of Majerski of lack of a team name. Loses the rear end going through Druids, ends up on the grass, and Ribeiro moves through to claim another place. But he was unable to catch Fernandez, who wins another round of the GT4 Championship, making it 2 on the trot, putting him in a strong position within the overall championship, moving into the next round, taking place at the Hungaroring. Jean-Paul Ribeiro in the end finishing in 3rd place, but not bad in terms of result for him and getting points on the board. So with that victory, Daniel Fernandez remains in 1st place on the Drivers' Championship with 218 points. Jean-Paul Ribeiro managed to get back to 3rd place, not a bad result, so he remains in 2nd place on the Drivers' Championship. And there's no changes for 3rd and 4th place, with Bird of BRD and Igor and Majerski of lack of a team name in 3rd and 4th respectively. Zapata moved up into 5th from 8th as a result of his good finish in 4th. 6th place is unchanged for O'Connell and Sims of BRT in the Ginetta. Sazu, who was in 5th going into this round, slips into 7th place of V8 Racing in the Chevy. Penfold also slips back 1 place into 8th place, Pensport GT in the McLaren. And Cowie and Voodoo exchange places, Cowie moving up from 10th to 9th of Revo Sports GB, and Voodoo and Andreas Hahn slipping back 1 place into Performance Audi into 10th. In the Manufacturers' Championship, as a result of round 3 at Brands Hatch, the lead 3 manufacturers are unchanged, with Chevy in 1st place, Porsche in 2nd and Aston Martin in 3rd. There was an exchange of places for 4th and 5th, with BMW moving into 4th and pushing Ginetta down into 5th. McLaren were unmoved, however Mercedes managed to recover a position over Audi. And at the bottom of the table was a very good result for KTM, with a 2nd place for Matthew Hill, bringing in a big haul of points, so they move above Alpine, who remain at the bottom of the table. So let's move on to the main event, qualifying, followed straight away by the 90-minute race at the Hungaroring. So let's join Danny Fernandez on his qualifying lap for this round of GT4 Championship. Danny's just on the start-finish straight now, just across the start-finish line, commencing the lap. Braking hard just before the 100-metre board to take the hairpin that it makes up turn 1. Danny carrying 3rd gear through there and accelerating away underneath the bridge, braking just after the bridge to go into T2. T2, a very long drawn out corner. Difficult to keep your foot down without letting the car slide, and then it's straight into T3. Straighten the car out for the short straight leading up to the crest for T4. Braking just as you hit the curb on the right hand side. Carry as much speed as possible through turn 4. Then it's the very long turn of turn 5. Very long hairpin bend. And then it's a very short straight leading into the chicane. That's turn 6 and 7. Coming out the chicane. It's throttle up and brake, and usually third gear for turn 8. Straighten up the car, and then it's straight into turn 9 on the right hander. Straighten up the car again and start to accelerate as you go through the slight kink of turn 10. Then get the car ready for the right hander of turn 11. Another short straight downhill, so be careful if you're braking as you go into the 90-degree turn 12. Straighten up the car, and just as you pass under the barriers above, braking into turn 13, the hairpin bend, and we're near the end of a lap, passing the pit entrance on the right hand side. The very difficult hairpin bend of turn 14, which seems to go on forever, has always got very poor grip as well, and you're always waiting before you can put the throttle in. And then straighten out to go over the start finish line and finish your qualifying lap for Fernandez of 1:54.096 for pole position. Moving into the start of the race, and here's Danny, as we've just seen, qualifying on pole. As usual, it's been the same for the past few races, and it's wet weather, it's rain for the race, and the weather predictions look like that rain is just going to get heavier as the race goes on. But Danny pulls away as the race starts. It's a pattern we've gotten used to seeing over the past few rounds. And it's going to be difficult in this race to tell where the drivers are on the track in the darkness. But as ever, Danny pulls cleanly away at the start of the race, already starting to build a lead of a few seconds. And in these conditions, this is really what you want. He's going to have a clear track in front of him with no spray, whereas everybody behind is going to face slightly more difficult conditions as the race goes on. But let's have a look at João Ribeiro. Looks like Ribeiro qualified in 11th. This is going back to the start again. Ribeiro second in the championship, remember, so he really needs to keep in contact with Fernandez if he's to keep his championship hopes alive. There's only 2 more rounds remaining after this event. The pack quite close together for the start. Most drivers were quite cautious given the damp track conditions. GT4s always takes a long time to get their tyres up to temperature. And they're just coming out of turn 3 onto the straight. Oh, there's lots of collisions in front. Oh, Ribeiro's been hit from behind. He's spun. He's doing the cautious thing. He's staying where he is until the field's clear. But that's a disaster for his championship hopes. That must have pushed him almost straight to the back of the field. But still on the opening lap. Already Ribeiro's trying to make places back. It looks like he's in 17th place now. So a loss of 6 places through that bad start for everybody. Quite a few cars going off on the straight. Maybe the damp conditions, maybe cold tyres. But Ribeiro already going past Morrison. Morrison, I don't think it will be pushing too hard. He's carrying a drive-through penalty as a result of Stewart's investigations. And still on the opening lap, we come to Dennis Deutsch and Kieran Wilson battling against each other, side by side. Looks like Dennis has got a slight edge there in the KTM, just ahead of Wilson in the Mercedes. This is already Wilson showing them 4th and Dennis in 5th. It's looking like those positions are reversed. KTM's reputation was quite a handful, but both Dennis and his teammate Hill showing at the front at the start of the race into lap 5 now, and it's Zapata attacking Pedro Mota in the BMW. Pedro, a new driver this week. Zapata having a bit of an up and down time in the championship, but straight past the BMW. The reputation of the Mercedes is a nightmare in the wet, but not for Zapata this time round. Showing a clean pair of heels to Motor, but Zapata is down in 10th, so he'll be looking to move forward. That'll move him to 9th. And on to lap 6, it's Andreas Hahn in the Audi for IMSA Racing, attacking Steve Bezic in the Aston Martin of Beeswax Racing. Drivers side by side, but it looks like Andreas has got round there in front. You still see the rain coming down, making track conditions very treacherous. That should move Andreas and IMSA Racing into 12th place, pushing Beeswax Racing down into 13th. Lap 8. And it's Revo Sport GB, Steve Cowie attacking Castella, fellow BMW of JP Racing. Looks like Cowie's got the better inside line there, making sure that João Pedro stays behind him. Well, these drivers will be disappointed to be battling for 14th and 15th place. And it's lap 9, and it's Tom O'Connell of BRT in the Ginetta attacking Michael Bird of BRD in the Chevy. It looks like Tom's on the inside line here for this corner. Looks like he's got better grip. Perhaps it's slippy where Bird is on the outside. And that was the final turn 14, and we're on the start-finish straight, so it's a drag race to the turn 1. But it looks like Tom has got the speed out of the Ginetta and he's in prime position for T1. Putting Tom into second place. Lap 11, and it's Zapata working his way through the field. But Martinez is coming at him in the Cayman of Porsche Motorsport. And in close attendance is Eugene in the Alpine. Zapata's through in front with Martinez in the middle and Eugene still at the back. It's lap 13 and it's Dennis Deutsch attacking Husjak of the FT Racing Audi. Husjak in 4th, Dennis currently in 5th, where it looks like Dennis got better traction on the inside line there. Just see Husjak on the outside of the corner, maybe not getting as good a traction on the exit. So that'll move the KTM into 4th place and push the Audi of FT Racing down into 5th. Still a long way to go though, only 13 laps in. It's a 90-minute race. Lap 16, Zapata again, still trying to make his way up the field. This will really help his championship. And Zapata attacking Sazu in the of V8 Racing in the Chevy. Again, Sazu is a direct competitor for the Drivers' Championship, well inside the top 10. But it looks like he made that move stick. Lap 16, and it's Dennis again, this time coming up on Michael Bird. Bird currently 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. But Dennis, I think, has missed a round, so it's really hurt his championship hopes, but doesn't stop him aiming for individual race wins. And KTM seems to be gripping well on the track tonight. That went past the Bird's Chevy quite easily. So BRD pushed down into 4th and Dennis in the KTM up to 3rd. Lap 17 and it's Andreas Hahn of IMSA Performance in the Audi attacking the new driver, Pedro Motor again in the BMW. And it looks like I think Andreas has made his experience count there in this series. This time took the outside line and somehow made the grip work. So he's pulled in front of Pedro for the next couple of corners. And it looks like that gap might be growing. That moves Andreas and IMSA Motorsport up a place. Into 9th. There's lap 17 and now it's Ribeiro again. Still trying to make his way up the field after the poor start. Where he got caught up in a few incidents and ended up right at the back of the field. Still only in P14, not ideal. But it looks like he's got past Morrison. We should think he'd have made a long time ago. I don't know if Ribeiro's had a bit of a bad night, but that moves Ribeiro into 12th place. Lap 18, fair distance into the race now, and we're with Cowie coming up on Morrison again. Cowie of Revo Sport GB, Morrison in the Mercedes. And Cowie seemed to make that look quite easy. He's quickly gone past Morrison and pulled away on the start-finish straight, coming up to T1. And Morrison pushed down into 14th place, Cowie into 13th. Lap 24, so a fair distance into the race now, about halfway through. The rain's still coming down, it looks to be getting heavier. And we're with Bird in the Chevy of BRD, going past Andreas Ahn of IMSA Performance in the Audi. So IMSA Performance Audi moved a long way up the field, currently in 4th, but Bird looks to have taken that place away from them. So Bird into 4th and Andreas down to 5th. Maybe the weather's taking its toll on the main field. And with Eugene in the Alpine coming up against Sazu. Sazu's gone wide. That looks like an easy pass in the end for Eugene, with Sazu presumably struggling a bit in the dampness. Exchange of places there. Sazu pushed down into 7th, Eugene taking 6th. Alpine so far in this series have not had a great time, so this will be a great result for them if they can hold on to that position. Lap 29, and it's Daniel Fernandez not in first place. O'Connell has got in front of him, so O'Connell or BRT ahead of the winning run GP Aston Martin. But it looks like Fernandez is soon changing that situation. Got much better speed there on the inside and really seemed to shoot past O'Connell. O'Connell fighting back though, so BRT not prepared to give up without a fight. But Fernandez looks to have moved back into the lead. Lap 29, it's Eugene now against Dennis Deutsch in the KTM. Drivers side by side on that bend. Hard to tell where they are in the darkness. Looks to be between turns 2 and 3 possibly, coming onto the straight. But Eugene in front there, and it looked like Dennis may have had a bit of a spin in the background there. Conditions are very treacherous. But lap 32, and it's Dennis coming back against Eugene, so whatever happened, Dennis did not give up. This is for P6 and P7. Looks like Dennis is going to outbrake on the inside to the next corner and get the place back. See the rain really coming down now. Conditions very difficult for all the field. And Eugene's not giving up in the Alpine, fighting back, but I think Dennis has got better position for the next corner, inside line. Lap 32, and Voodoo now in the IMSA Performance Audi. Now the Chevy in the background there has to be almost a lap up, because the only Chevys left in the race is Bird, number 215, and Sazu in 217. But not able to make the number out on that car there. The computer thinks he's overtaken Pedro as Voodoo, so I assume Pedro was coming out the pits. Lap 34, and it's Dennis Deutsch again, featured heavily in this race. Now appears to have moved past Eugene. No, Eugene's still in the background, and it's Sazu again in the Chevy. These drivers have been fighting all race, and looks like a very good move by Eugene in the back there. Shot right up the inside of Sazu, and Sazu's dropped right back. So Dennis into 5th, Eugene into 6th. It looks Sazu may have slipped back into 7th. Lap 42, it's Dennis Deutsch again, this time attacking Zapata, who's in 4th. KTM looks to be very good under braking in the wet conditions, because Dennis just seems to make that move stick all the time on every lap we come to him. Zapata pushed down into 5th place, and Dennis doing a remarkable drive to get up to 4th place. And it looks like Fernandez has got another victory under his belt under the most difficult of conditions. The race started off in drizzle and light rain and finished under medium rain, so a very wet track. All drivers on wet tyres and struggling mightily. But Fernandez, another victory. And it looks like Tom O'Connell of BRT in 2nd place, and Bird of BRD in third place. But Ribeiro on this final lap is down in 9th place, so it could well be changes on the Drivers' Championship. So let's have a look at the official race results for this round of the GT4 Championship. And to confirm, Dani Fernandez of Winning Run GP takes first place again. I believe that's the third round on the trot he's taken first place. And maximum points for the championship. Second place, it's BRT of Tom O'Connell and Phil Sims in the Ginetta. And in third place, it's BRD, Michael Bird in the Chevy. And the rest of the results you can see. Eugene performing well in the Alpine, getting into 6th place, much higher than he's been managing so far in the championship. Perhaps he's managing to finally master the very difficult to drive Alpine. And 3 non-finishers this week, Matthew Hill in one of the KTMs, Kieran Wilson in a Mercedes, and lack of a team name, Dominik Berezowski and Igor 55 in one of the Chevrolets. So let's have a look how that's affected the top 10 of the Drivers' Championship. Daniel Fernandez, no surprise, is still in first place with 3 victories and 1 second place. So Winning Run GP looking in firm control to take the first GT4 Championship under Apex Online Racing, certainly for Tier 2. But it's all changed from this point forward. Michael Bird, thanks to his third place in this round, moves BRD into second place with 236 points. And Jean-Paul Ribeiro, who had a difficult race, finished in 9th place. FACC slipped down into 3rd in the championship. And moving right up the table, it's BRT, O'Connell and Sims in the Ginetta, move up 2 places from 6th. Also moving up is Zapata in the Mercedes into 5th, and also moving up is Sazu of V8 Racing in the Chevy, who moves up into 6th place. All this is caused because Igor 55 and Dominik Berezowski were unable to finish in lack of a team name in the Chevy. That really cost them dear, and they've slipped right down the table into 7th place. In 8th place, it's IMSA Performance, Andreas Ahn and Voodoo in the Audi. And it is IMSA Performance. I think I've called them absolutely everything tonight, IMSA Racing and IMSA Motorsport. But they are now in 8th place. No move of Steve Cowie of Revo Sport GB in 9th place. And joining the top 10, Jean Pedro Castella and Daniel Montero of JP Racing are in 10th place. So 3 Chevrolets in the top 10 and 2 BMWs. So not bad results for those teams. Looking at the Manufacturers' Championship, the Chevy Camaros are still in charge with 181 points. No movement either for 2nd and 3rd place with Porsche and the Aston Martin. However, everybody's moving around after this point. Ginetta move up 1 place into 4th, while BMW slip back 1 into 5th place. Mercedes move up 1 place to 6th, Audi are up into 7th, the KTMs are now into 8th, and thanks to Eugene's good result tonight, the Alpines are lifted off the bottom of the table and are not too far behind the KTMs and not even a million miles away from Mercedes and Audi. But McLaren, with no representatives tonight racing, dropped to the bottom of the table, dropping 4 places. So that's it for this round of the GT4 Championship for Tier 2. Next week's round is at Misano and will take place on Friday evening at 8 o'clock. Also starting next week is the first round of the next GT3 season. It's Season 5. Tiers have yet to be announced, but I will be live streaming whatever tier I'm in on Tuesday evening, commencing at 7:30, and there'll be a highlight show for GT3 as well, so keep an eye open for that one. So all being well, I should see you then. If not, tune in for the highlight show for both GT3 and GT4 coming soon. Thanks very much. Please leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed the show. See you soon, folks.